Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from this month's sponsor, Ethico.
If you're a compliance officer, middle managers are crucial in getting your programs from you to your frontline employees. But how do we activate those managers and get them on our side? Ethico's new Middle Manager Toolkit equips you with the skills needed to empower your managers, to promote a culture where ethical behavior thrives and employees feel empowered to speak up. Learn how to turn frontline managers into ethical leaders with our new white paper, Empowering Middle Managers as Ethics Champions. And did I mention you can get the whole toolkit for free? Head to ethico.com to download the full toolkit today.
The Daily Compliance News for March 7, 2024, the No Jail Time edition. And we begin with that story from Bloomberg as Andrew Pearse, a former Credit Suisse banker who pled guilty to engaging in a $2 billion fraud and money laundering scheme in Mozambique, avoided a prison term after serving as the U.S. government's star witness at 2 trials. Pearse was sentenced on Thursday in federal court in New York over what became known as the Tuna Bond case, a scandal for its dubious maritime projects, including a tuna fishing fleet. He was sentenced to time served, referring to a brief period when he was in government custody. So, no jail time. Next up, from the Financial Times, this is just unbelievable as Donald Trump has backtracked completely on tariffs levied on Canada and Mexico a day after they started. He has suspended them. Yes. Unbelievable. Just gutless. If you're going to put tariffs on somebody, you got to be willing to go through it. It's not clear what goods and services it would cover, but it was likely Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said it would cover all goods and services compliant with the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. So Donald Trump follows the law. I know that's stunning to hear. Certainly you're not going to hear it very often. Next up, we are recording this late on the evening of March 6th, and on March 7th, the day this podcast posts, Paul Clement, the lawyer who a federal judge has asked to deliver independent arguments on the Justice Department's motion to dismiss the corruption case of Eric Adams, is set to deliver his views. The widely anticipated filing sought by Judge Ho is scheduled to be presented to the court on March 7th. So tune in to the 10 for 10, where we will explore what Paul Clement suggested to the court. Next up, the EEOC has traditionally fought against discrimination, but is now unclear if they will fight for discrimination, as the president's pick to protect workers says she wants to take on all bias. That means bias against white people. Yes, they're going to double down, and even though the law, of course, mandates affirmative action, if you engage in affirmative action, they're going to claim you're engaged in illegal discrimination. Well, I wonder how all of the courts will see that claim. Nevertheless, just think of Fahrenheit 451, where the job of a fireman was to burn books. That's what the job of someone who is supposed to support anti-discrimination at the EEOC now will support discrimination going forward. At the start of this podcast, the sponsor for the entire Compliance Podcast Network is Ethico. Well, Ethico has a great new offering this month for you, a toolkit for middle managers. This is something that you, as the compliance professional, can use to move your compliance program forward by giving middle managers the skills necessary to answer a call for speak up or when someone comes in their office and raises a concern. I can't think of a tool that will be more valuable for you in the current era of enforcement. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.